Good morning, all of you. Today I am going to make an audio recording for visually impaired students of Inorganic Chemistry second book, and name of the chapter is Water Pollution. Water in abundant amount is required for use in agriculture, industry and household. After use, however, it gets highly polluted. The various water pollutants can be classified into as many as 10 categories. These are discussed below in some details. Various water pollutants. First one is sewage and other oxygen demanding wastes. Sewage from municipalities and other oxygen demanding wastes from industry and agriculture comprise of organic matter which undergoes oxidation readily under the action of microorganisms. These water are generally disposed of by dumping them into nearby rivers if the amount of sewage or other wastage discharge is relatively small. The dissolved oxygen is sufficient to convert carbon into carbon dioxide, sulfur into sulfates, phosphorus into phosphates, and nitrogen into ammonia and nitrates, and the river water is not so badly polluted. If, however, the amount of discharge is heavy and the dissolved oxygen become insufficient, carbon is converted into methane and nitrogen compound are converted into amines which give offensive odor of rotten fish decaying in a cesspool. The sulfur compounds change into hydrogen sulfide which gives smell like that of rotten eggs, and phosphorus compounds give a wormy odor. Thus, sewage and other oxygen demanding wastes become water pollutants on two accounts. First is they give rise to compounds which have an extremely annoying odor. Second is the deplete the dissolved oxygen from water which is rendered harmful because water devoid of dissolved oxygen cannot sustain aquatic life. It affects or even kill fish and other aquatic living beings. Second one is infectious agents. Sewage from municipalities is almost invariably associated with disease microorganisms. This is due to the fact that in a fair size community, a few inhabitants at any given time must be suffering from disease such as dysentery, typhoid, cholera, etc. The feces and urine of such patients would contain disease microorganisms which are transmitted through water supplies. Thus, wastewater from municipalities would almost invariably carry agents, that is bacteria or other microorganisms which produce disease in other living beings, man and animals including livestock. Third one is plant nutrients. The presence of plant nutrients in lakes and slow-moving water that is introduced through runoff from farmlands, sewage treatment discharges, and from fertilizer factories supports high population of aquatic plants which on decay produce disagreeable odor. Not only this, these plants also deplete dissolved oxygen, making the survival of aquatic life, fish, etc. problematic. The enrichment of water by nutrients is known as eutrophication. Lakes and slow-moving water age through eutrophication, and over periods of several millennia, they get converted into swamps and marshes. Eutrophication has an adverse effect on fish as well. The aquatic plants which bloom in lakes sink in autumn and winter and decay the next summer, depleting oxygen from the lower colder part of the lake. The cold water fish, which according to Darwin's theory get habituated to require more oxygen, cold water dissolve more oxygen, for their growth have to face shortage of dissolved oxygen. As a result, the cold water fish lose out to warm water fish which need less oxygen. Humans who prefer cold water fish are thus deprived of getting their choice fish. Next one is exotic organic chemicals. The exotic The exotic organic chemicals include pesticides, surfactants amongst detergent, many industrial products, and several decomposition products of other organic compounds. Analysis of polluted water revealed the presence of a wide cross section of these compounds as also many others. These organic chemicals are generally toxic to fish. Some of these are toxic even at extremely low concentration around 1 ppm. With the fast development of chemical industry, several new organic chemical compounds are introduced every year which may find their way into rivers and lakes. Since the effects of these new compounds on natural ecosystem may not be known, there is every possibility that an irreparable damage is done before scientists release it. Next one is fifth, inorganic minerals and chemical compounds. A large variety of inorganic chemicals find their way into normal water from municipal and industrial wastewaters and urban runoffs. These pollutants comprising of compounds of mercury, lead, arsenic, cadmium, sodium, calcium, fluorine, etc. Injure or kill fish and other aquatic life and also render the water unfit for drinking or for industrial use. A prominent example is the presence of mercury in water. At one time, it was believed that metallic mercury sinks into the sediments and remains there in chemically inert metallic form. But now, it is known that anaerobic bacteria in bottom muds convert inorganic mercury into methyl mercury, which can lead to mercury poisoning in living beings. In petroleum drilling, brine is discharged along with crude oil when the latter is pumped to the surface. Sometimes the volume of brine may be more than 3 times the volume of a crude oil recovered. This brine is a potential pollutant for water. Mineral containing sulfur, example iron pyrites, copper pyrites, on coming in contact with air and water yield sulfuric acid, which is carried into lakes and rivers by water draining from the mines. The presence of the acid affect aquatic life. In cold countries, NaCl and CaCl2 are added in large amounts to melt snow from the roads in winter. These salts eventually run off the roads and contaminate well water and also find their way into lakes and rivers and seriously affect the aquatic life. Some other metals whose compounds frequently act as water pollutants are lead, arsenic, and cadmium. First of all, lead. Compounds of lead which enter into water are PbCl2, PbBr2, PbBrCl, PbO, PbS, which originates from lead minerals. Lead in the form of PbOH twice gets its entry into water from lead pipes. Excessive intake of lead by humans causes disruption of synthesis of hemoglobin. It also results in loss of appetite, anemia, kidney malfunctioning, nervous disorder, and brain damage. Next one is arsenic. The main sources of arsenic compounds in water are pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides. Arsenic contamination may also occur due to discharge of some industrial waste. Dissolution of arsenic mineral is another source of arsenic compounds. Arsenic 3 compounds are highly toxic. The toxicity arises from the complex section of arsenic third with the SH groups of enzymes which leads to inhibition of enzymatic action in human body. Since arsenic is structure similar to phosphorus, its presence interferes with the process of phosphorylation in human body. Higher doses of arsenic result in coagulation of protein which cause cramps, paralysis, and even death. Next is sediments. Sediments are particles of soil and minerals which are washed from croplands, undeveloped lands, unprotected forest soils, overgrazed pasture strips, mines, roads, bulldozed urban areas, etc., by storms and flood waters. Sediments fill reservoirs and stream channels, plug water filters, erode power turbines and pumping equipment, and reduce the amount of sunlight available to green aquatic plants. The sediments also cover the fish nests, the egg laid by them in water, and their food supplies. This reduces the population of fish and shellfish. Next one is radioactive substances. Radioactive substances from nuclear power plants, wastes of uranium and thorium mining and refining, and from industries and institutions, medical and scientific, which utilize radioactive materials if carried by water, become sources of harmful radiations. Next one is heat. Large amounts of water are used for cooling purpose in thermal and nuclear power plants. Water is also used as a coolant in some industries. Cooling water is thus discharged at a raised temperature. The increased temperature have several adverse effects on certain properties of water. The rates at which chemical reaction occur increase considerably. This result in faster assimilation of water wastage and hence faster depletion of dissolved oxygen, which affects aquatic life. The rate of evaporation also increases appreciably with increase in temperature. This results in greater wastage of water in the form of its vapor and so on. Next one is oil. Oil pollution results from the discharge of oil from oil tankers and offshore drilling rigs accidentally or intentionally. An example of accidental oil discharge was the release of about metric tons of cavity oil on March 18, 1967, when the ship ran aground off Cornwall near England and broke into three pieces. The Royal Air Force spent several days trying to set the oil afire with high explosives. Even now, several large tankers accidents are occurring every year. The most serious environmental hazard in living history was caused by the spilling and burning of tremendous quantities of oil emanating from the Guwahati's oil well, which were blasted off in the Gulf War of by the Iraqi troops when they were forced or retreat. The awfully hazards pollution which was caused to the surrounding atmosphere and adjoining ocean was unprecedented. Enormous damage was done to aquatic life. Oil is also discharged from oil tankers intentionally. A tanker carrying a cargo of crude oil, after discharging the oil at the seaport, fill up its tank with seawater to act as blast on the return trip. Before the tanker docks, the seawater blast contaminated with the small residue of oil left in the tank is returned to the ocean. Some vessels which use oil fuel also tend to produce oil slicks when waste oil or seawater blast is dumped into the ocean from their fuel tanks. The most adverse effect of oil pollution is on the seabirds. The oil penetrates their feathers, displacing the air which is normally trapped in the feathers and provides buoyancy and insulation against cold. The elimination of entrapped air makes the birds colder and more susceptible to disease. In the absence of entrapped air, the bird's expensive difficulty in flying. For instance, about 100,000 birds lost their lives when the Guwahati oil tanker met with an accident on March 18, 1967. Oil pollution adversely affects the other ocean life as well. Some of the constituents of oil, such as 3,4-benzypyrene, are carcinogenic. Next one is detergents. Detergents comprise of surfactants, that is surface active agents, which are organic compounds having polar or hydrophilic groups such as carboxylic acid, SO3H, NH4 positive or non-polar groups soluble in water. Some common detergents are given below. that is linear alkyl sulfonates, alkyl benzene sulfonates, quaternary ammonium salt, polyoxyethylene, non nonyl phenol, where R1, R2, R3 are straight hydrocarbon chain, R4 is an aromatic chain, X is a halogen or an acid group, M is a cation such as Na positive. The surfactant in detergent cause a variety of pollution problems, some of which are as follows. First is the surfactant are highly resistant to the action of biological agents and thus do not undergo biodegradation. Since the surfactants tend to retain their identity, their elimination from municipal waste water by the usual treatments become problematic. Second is surfactants tend to inhibit oxidation of organic substances present in wastewaters by forming a sort of envelope around them, with the result that these substrates do not undergo oxidative degradation during the treatment of wastewater. These substances, generally being toxic, cause severe water pollution to which there is no remedy. Third is being surface active. The surfactant covers the surfaces of small particles in colloidal suspension, thereby stabilizing them considerably. These colloidal particles thus do not aggregate and hence cannot be easily filtered off during subsequent treatment. The stabilized colloidal particle also reduce the activity of biological filter beds and activated sludge. Fourth one is the most undesirable effect of surfactant is their tendency to produce stable foam in rivers, sometimes several meters high, especially at low gates. These foams extend over several hundred meters of the river water. The builders used in the preparation of detergent mostly consist of sodium phosphates, which form stable soluble complexes with hardness liberating ions such as calcium 2 positive and magnesium 2 positive ion. These complexes act as plant nutrients and support rich growth of aquatic plants, which deplete dissolved oxygen when alive and produce disagreeable smell on decay. In view of the above problems, research is now going on to discover surfactants which are biodegradable and builders which are non-phosphatic. Now, treatment of domestic wastewater. The composition of municipal sewage depends largely on the wealth and habits of the municipal population and the amount and nature of industrial wastewaters added to the domestic sewage. Sewage treatment processes are designed to remove oxygen demanding organic wastes, suspended and dissolved solids, and bacteria. The treatment processes are generally divided into three categories. First one is primary treatment processes, second one is secondary treatment processes, third one is tertiary treatment processes. These are described below in some details. First one is primary treatment processes. Primary treatment processes involve removal of grate, screening, grinding, flocculation, sedimentation, and skimming. System for grate removal and screening are designed to remove the larger suspended or floating material such as rags, paper, twigs, wires, roots, glass, and other matter. The materials removed by screening are incinerated or buried. Flocculation is carried out by agitating wastewater by mechanical stirrers on or air injection. This causes small suspended solids to collide and form bigger aggregates, which settle down more rapidly. Sedimentation, that is removal of suspended solid by gravitational settling, is carried out in large basins having a continuous flow with detention time of 4-6 hours. Specific wastes from industrial sources are subjected to removal of oil or grease in a skimming tank, neutralization of excessive alkalinity or acidity, and precipitation or ion exchange treatment for heavy method. Second one is secondary treatment processes. Secondary treatment processes include the use of biological method employing trickling filters and activated sludge plants. To use of both the technique is discussed below. First one technique is use of trickling filters. Trickling filters comprise of beds of crushed stone embedded with biological slimes. Wastewater is allowed to percolate through these beds. When the organic matter present in wastewater gets absorbed on slimes and undergoes decomposition by bacteria and fungi present in the slimes, when the slime layer becomes very thick, they slow off and can be easily removed. Next one is activated sludge process. This process involves continuous circulation of biologically active growth through wastewater in the presence of oxygen supplied as fine bubbles of compressed air. The suspended and dissolved organic waste is well aerated and mixed, undergo adsorption, flocculation, oxidation, and biological degradation. After a few hours, the sludge is transferred to sedimentation tanks and allowed to settle out. A part of the sludge which is not rich in organism is used to send the next batch of waste from the primary settling tanks. The activated sludge performs two functions. First is it clarifies the water by absorb, absorbing most of the colloidal and suspended solids on the surface of sludge particle. Second is it causes oxidative degradation of the organic matter present in wastewater. The sludge from secondary treatment plants is disposed of in several ways. A common method consists in digesting the sludge in circular digester 6 to 10 meter deep, which are maintained at a temperature of which 35 degrees Celsius. During digestion, the organic matter is eventually reduced to gases consisting of about 70% methane and 30% CO2 with small amount of NH3, H2S, H2 and N2. Methane is recovered and used as fuel for heating the digester. After digestion for a few weeks, the sludge gets converted into a stable humus material which is used as a soil conditioner. Other sludge handling methods are dewatering on sad beds, second is vacuum filtration, and third one is centrifugation. Dewatering on sand beds is carried out by filtering water through sand beds and evaporating water from the sludge surface. In vacuum filtration, a horizontal drum covered with suitable filter media is partially submerged in wet sludge. Vacuum is applied on the inside to extract water out of the wet sludge into the drum, which is constantly rotated. The sludge which form a layer on the drum is scraped off. Centrifuging is generally applied for dewatering, paper mill wastage, packing, house wastage, foundry sludge, water softening, and refinery sludge. The dewatered sludge is then disposed of in two different ways. A common procedure is to in incinerate the dried sludge. The sludge itself furnishes sufficient heat to maintain combustion. This process, however, can lead to air pollution. An alternative to incineration is compositing, which permits recovery of some of the organic matter and plants nutrients of the sludge. Third one is tertiary treatment processes. Advanced wastewater treatment processes. These processes aim at improving the wastewater quality to the point at which it can be reused. The increasing cost of water supplies and the increasing emphasis on wastewater quality are leading engineering to devise method for total recycling of decontaminated water. Some common advanced wastewater treatment processes are discussed below. Now, chemical coagulation and filtration. In this process, the wastewater is treated with chemical coagulants such as alum, ferric sulfate, ferric chloride, etc. As a result of which the suspended matter get coagulated to form flocks. In recent years, a number of synthetic high molar mass water soluble polymer have been developed as highly effective coagulants. One such coagulant is chalcone, which polydiallyl dimethyl ammonium chloride. The flux are filtered with the help of sand, dye, atomics, earth, or several other multimedia filters. Microscenes can also be used for this purpose. Now, industrial wastewater, its contamination and treatment. Industrial wastewater is invariably contaminated. The nature of contaminants depending upon industries from which the wastewater is obtained. These aspects are discussed below briefly. First one is wastewater from food poisoning processing industry. Food processing units such as beet sugar refining, briefing, distilling, etc., dealing with meat and dairy products yield wastewater which contain high content of decomposable organic matter which leads to heavy oxygen depletion. The dairy industry produces organic waste high in proteins, fats and lactose. The beet sugar refining industry produces wastes which have a high biochemical oxygen demand BOD. Breweries and distilleries produce organic solids including fermented starches. The processing of food to produce canned or frozen product leads to large amount of wet solids. The wastes from meat processing industry are associated with blood, fats, proteins, feathers and other organic wastage and so on. Wastewater from textile industry. The wastewater from textile mills is generally alkaline and has a high biochemical oxygen demand. The textile wastes arise from impurities in the fibers and from the chemical used in processing, by cooking the fibers, dyeing the fabrics, etc. Wastewater from paper and pulp industries. The effluents from paper and pulp industry contain chemicals used in craft process, bits of barks, wood, chips, cellulose fibers and dissolved lignin. About 50% of the wood used as input is eventually discharged as waste material. The effluents contain compounds which are toxic to fish and shellfish. Wastewater from chemical industry. The wastewater from chemical industry is very heavily contaminated. Chemical plants manufacturing acid, bases, pesticides, synthetic fibers, detergents, and many other organic and inorganic compounds produce wastes which are associated with a wide variety of contaminants numbering into thousands, many of which are highly toxic. Wastewater from metal industries. Steel mills produce wastewater from cooking of coal, washing of blast furnace, flue gases, and pickling of the steel. These wastes contain phenol, coke, lime, etc. The wastewater may also contain metals such as lead, nickel, cadmium, zinc, copper, silver, as well as acids, alkaline, cleaners, greases, and oil. Wastewater from metal plating industry is highly toxic on account of the presence of metal cyanides. Wastewater from other industries. Wastewater from other industries is associated with a wide variety of contaminants. For instance, leather tannery waste contain high content of solid salts causing hardness, sulfides, chromium salts, and lime. These wastes have high biochemical oxygen demand BOD. Radioactive waste originates from nuclear power plant and research laboratories using radioisotopes. Soft drinks bottling plants produce highly alkaline waste with high BOD from the washing of bottles which involve removal of cigarette butts, paper and other drips left in the bottles by previous users. Laundries have turbid wastes that are alkaline and contain organic solids and so on. Now, treatment of industrial wastewater. It is evident from the above discussion that if industrial wastewater is discharged into lakes, rivers, or oceans as such, it would cause severe pollution. The wastewater thus has to be treated properly before it can be disposed of. Most of the water treatment methods used by industries are in general the same as used for the treatment of municipal wastewater. However, some specific treatments have been used with advantage in specific cases. For example, while biological treatment are more suited for wastes from dairy and food industries, chemical treatments have worked well for wastes from metal plating industry. Since large amount of water are required by many large industries, there is great emphasis on subjecting industrial waste water is to advanced treatment by tertiary treatments to render the water suitable for reuse. These treatments are essentially the same as carried out in the case of municipal wastewater. Thank you.